All right, I'm going to try to do this video quickly. I don't want to talk a lot in this, just because I don't want, because it's not a very complicated subject or concept. But I want to entitle this "Toxic Men," and this has nothing to do with what the feminists or the left, the liberals, call toxic masculinity. I don't believe that this is their version or their definition of what toxic masculinity is. I would call this a toxic male from a MGTOW or a red pill, specifically red pill, not necessarily MGTOW, but red pill perspective. Okay, so when you're coming at the dating dynamic, the love dynamic, the sexual market, the relationship marriage dynamic, the male-female dynamic, particularly in the Western world, okay, you should hopefully come at it from a red pill perspective, meaning you need to have those definitions and understandings and all those explanations of the red pill between male and female dynamics. You need to have that in your immediate mind, okay? Or else you're going to get hurt, you're going to get tainted, you're going to get friend zoned, you're going to get used for your money, you're going to get taken to the court system, you're going to get hurt, and this is what all young men need to know, okay? This is just a basic backdrop of what I'm going to talk about. So when I'm talking about toxic men, I'm talking about the type of men who coddle women, the type of men who, instead of calling women out on their BS, instead of taking the red pill and saying, no, women need to be held accountable for their actions, we need to set up social checks and balances and social stigma, okay, that stops our women from going and being loose sluts. Okay, these men, instead of doing that, what these men do is they play into hypergamy and they make excuses for women. And I don't know exactly the cause for it. It could be society itself. It could be, prevailing liberalism. It could be that these guys had single mothers and they're just more partial towards women. It could be that these guys had fathers who really coddled women. Every once in a while I'll use this example, but it's one of my all-time favorite examples of MGTOW or the red pill. It happens in this movie called The Last of the Mohicans, and that's probably my number one favorite movie of all time because the screenplay is awesome, because the storyline is awesome. It was a great book, okay. But within this movie, there's a character named Magua, and he's an Indian who's sort of rebelling against the British. Okay, and he's working for the French in the French and Indian War. This is the time setting that this happens in. Well, he's a spy who is pretending to be a scout for the English army. He's actually a spy for the French army. Okay, he is Huron. Okay, and the Hurons were, like I said, linked up with the French army against the British, okay? So he's a spy. Now they're walking through the woods, and this guy says, the women are tired. This guy, he's like a general in the English army, and he goes, the women are tired, and the women need to rest. We need to find shelter and water the horses now. And he said, do you understand? And he's talking to Magua. And Magua speaks in his native tongue, Indian, which the English officer doesn't understand. And he says, Magua understands that the white man is a dog to his women. When the women are tired, the white man puts down his knife to feed their laziness. Okay? That's a paraphrase. It's not an exact quote, but you can look that up online. You can look it up on YouTube. One of my all-time favorite scenes in any movie because it's so fucking true. I believe as white men, as Europeans, we have a history of coddling women. We have a history of breaking our backs to feed female laziness. Now, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that would be misogyny and putting women to work, and I don't think that's the answer either. That's not what I'm implying here. What I'm implying and what I'm saying is that some men just naturally have a sort of pussy, they're pussy panderers. They really think that they have this idea that women are just special just because they're women. And this plays into hypergamy, and this plays into the female princess narrative. It plays into the female, the idea that females can do no wrong. Okay? So these guys are all around. Whenever you go out and you say anything negative about women, these guys will come out of the woodwork to attack you and call you all kinds of names and try to amog you, try to subvert dominance over you, and you're just, because they have this deep laden concept that anybody saying anything negative about a woman is sort of a misogynist and a woman hater. But actually, the opposite is true. They claim that you're sexist by saying bad things about women, but the opposite is true. You're actually sexist if you don't hold women accountable for their actions. You're actually sexist if you put down the knife to feed females' laziness. You think that the women can't make it. You think that the women aren't as equal to men. You think that women need to be coddled. Therefore, you are actually the sexist one if we're talking about genuine equality, okay? If I was a woman, I would not want anybody to give me special privileges. Why? Because special privileges imply that I'm weak. They imply that I have a handicap. They imply that I can't do everything a man can do. So if we're talking about genuine equality, then you can't behave like that. That's what I call, according to the red pill backdrop, toxic men. Men who are pussy panderers. Men who defend women just because they're women. Men who coddle women and let women behave however they want to just because they're women. This is a toxic man. That is what a toxic man is. And I meet these guys all the time on social media. I talk to these guys all the time. These are the guys who think that women can do no wrong just because they're women. These are the guys who let women get away with all kinds of crazy shit. These are the guys who look the other way when women are out whoring around. These are the guys who settle down with a woman after she's ridden the cock carousel, and they're just happy to get her. And then these guys are the guys who go out and try to amog guys who are actually really genuinely perturbed and disturbed by the female character, by the female narcissism. These guys really have low self-esteem. These guys really feel like little boys. The woman is the queen. They're like the bees, and they're trying to work, and they're all just part of that big honeycomb, and they're all trying to fuck the queen. And they don't care that their value is so damn low that they'll be lucky to even touch her. They don't care. They're pussy panderers. I'm not saying these guys never get laid. I'm not saying these guys never get in relationships, but ultimately they're pussy panderers. It's a weakness. I believe these guys are beta. I believe these guys are secretly beta. Any man who has no standards and will let a woman do whatever she wants to do is not alpha. He's not leading. He's not being honest to himself. He has no standards. He has no values. He has very low value for what he considers a proper woman to be. Proper women are not sluts. Proper women are not shitty ass women who get on their knees and suck and fuck every guy until Tuesday. They're not women who have high lay counts. They're not women who treat men like shit. They're not feminists, modern feminists who are secretly man haters. That's not a high value woman. So this is toxic masculinity. That's what I consider toxic masculinity in the red pill era, or the red pill, according to the red pill standards. All right, so that's all I got to say. Just wanted to get that across. Happens to me all the time. These guys are out there. Be wary of this kind of guy. This kind of guy is not your friend. He's not a friend of anybody who wants genuine equality. This guy is the real sexist. He's the real problem. He makes it harder for everybody. He makes it harder for all men. All right, thanks for listening. Jay Lee Northwest Podcast. Peace.